Welcome to another edition of the Giants Huddle podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants, coming to you from the Hackensack Meridian Health Podcast Studio. Keep getting better. It's another Baldy breakdown. This is not going to be our typical game breakdown. This is going to be usually the bye week episodes. Baldy is kind of like Giants at mid-season, like what's going on mode, but we're like three-quarters of the way through the
Yeah,
season
yeah.
because the Giants have the late bye. So why don't we start there? For
Okay.
a player, what is having a late bye week like this kind of like?
Well, if you're having a better season, it's a great feeling. You don't even want to leave. You don't want to disrupt things. Look, you get a chance to really freshen up for the final 5 game stretch, where you can really, whatever nicks you have that might be able to kind of get as close to normal, as healthy as you can, you could do it. It's good. It's the holidays have begun. The family guys can spend a little bit more time with their kids and, decorating the house, all that kind of. So, you can be a little handy around the house. But, ultimately, I never like to get too far away from the game, John. I was one of those guys that like, oh, let's take a trip, that kind of thing. I kind of like to stay close, especially 5 weeks from now, it's going to be all over. So, I want to finish strong.
Now, this last game against the Patriots, Baldy, was not that competitive, but for the most part, the Giants have been in a lot of these games. They played 8 straight games where they played teams that were at least 2 games over 500 or more.
Yep.
They were
Yep.
competitive in the vast majority of those games. So, what do you make of where the Giants are with their record based on how close they've played a lot of these games? How they've had multiple games where they've had double-digit leads. They've had multiple games, I think about 4 or 5, where they've led in the fourth quarter and let a game slip through their fingers. So how do you analyze exactly what this team is, given the dichotomy of their record and how close these games have been against some of the better teams in the league?
Well, Detroit, Green Bay, Denver, they had the lead in all those games. I would say that they're a lot closer to becoming a competitive team than what the record shows. 2-11 is not an indicator of how competitive they have been. And they've gone through 3 quarterbacks, and so I feel like, you beat the Eagles, and you beat them, pretty good. You score 5 touchdowns in that game against the Eagles, who have 8 wins and probably going to win the division, whatever. You take Dallas to the brink. They're a very good football team. You're not very far away. It's a question of, can you get the, certain positions solidified, and can you stay reasonably healthy? Losing young star players is really hard when you don't have people of that caliber replacing them.
What do you have to do to get over that hump, to take that next step that you're talking about?
I think you have to, I feel like there is a big step defensively this team needs to take to be able to deliver knockout punches when you've got a lead in the fourth quarter. And it's whether that's an individual play, whether that's a collective thing, where they're just not going to let the other team go down the field and score. The way some of these teams did. I think, to see Jahmyr Gibbs do that in overtime, that's just not what a playoff team does, or a team that hopes to be in the playoffs. Like, you just don't let that happen. So I feel like defensively, there's some knockout punches they have to throw, and they have to learn how to do that. Maybe it's the type of person, type of player they need in here so that doesn't happen. And then on offense, like, there was just some poor decisions, I thought, from a coaching standpoint, a quarterback standpoint, where there's better ways to finish games, to play the clock better, to know who the enemy is. I think there were some in-game decisions that have to be better at those times.
All right, let's stick on the offense
And then
first here.
they'll finish that, John.
Yeah, please.
Once you do that once or twice, then you really gain the confidence that we know how to do it. They don't know how to do it right now. And that's not a knock on anybody. They just haven't demonstrated that ability. But you can see, watching the Patriots last night, that's a confident football team. They don't beat themselves. They know what dumb penalties do. They don't do those things. And they do the little things well. If Marcus Jones is going to field the ball at the 6, the only reason why he fields the ball at the 6 last night is because they have done a great job of doubling both gunners. And so he's got 10, 12 yards in front of him where he can, create a good return.
All right, so let's stick with the offense, Baldy, and obviously everything depends on your quarterback, or at least a lot of it does, and the Giants feel pretty good about what they see from Jaxson Dart. Just came back after missing a couple of games with that concussion. What is your status report on where Jaxson Dart is, how you're thinking about him, and what his future looks like?
I look, if you put Jaxson and Drake May side by side, I don't think there's a big difference in talent, arm strength, how they process. I don't think there's a big difference. They both played a lot of college football. Drake went through a rough season last year, like and he got sacked a whole bunch. He's been sacked a bunch this year. But I feel like the only thing I want to see, I feel like Jaxson plays the game the right way. He's fearless. He made two great throws last night for touchdowns. The slant to Slayton was a perfect throw where he could run with it after the catch, split the defense. The touchdown to Theo, like he plays the game fearless. He does need to protect himself, and it isn't. Well, that's how I played in high school. That's what I did at Ole Miss. No, like he takes another shot like that from Christian Ellis, he's going to be in protocol. It's just going to happen. Like there's got to be a way that he can still extend plays, take his shots, and not take the shots he's taken.
Aside from that, in terms of the art of playing quarterback stuff, what to you is the next step for Dart? I think the one thing that jumped out to me, Baldy, watching Jameis in the offense for a couple of weeks, now different players, everything Jameis did is quick, foot hits, on time, ball out.
Yep.
And I think, to me, that's the next step for Jaxson. As good as he is off schedule and creating
Yes.
and moving around, I think if you can get some more of the easy stuff in rhythm, foot hits, ball out, I think that's kind of the next step for him, at least for me.
I
What do you
agree.
think?
I agree. And I've seen it from Caleb this year with a different coach, different system. Like he's not that frenetic guy that Jaxson is at times. We did see that. We did see an offense that moved with Jameis without him having to be a runner, and I think there's an offense for Jaxson, just the way Drake has run for first downs this year. There's times to run. Um, Certainly when the defense turns their back to you, man coverage, get the first down, extend the drive. But, Jameis has been around long enough to know when to get rid of the ball, where to go pre-snap. So I do think there's an evolution and another step for sure that he needs to go to. And it will help to get better talent around him, guys that can win quicker, separate faster, where you could get the ball out. You know where you want to go with this ball. And because I think his ball placement, by and large, is really pretty good.
Huddle up, get in here. If you're lined up here, you gotta go over the middle with it to score.
Right. How do we make that happen?
I don't know, but Citizens does. Make sense of your money with Citizens, official bank of Eli Manning.
And now you're trying to build an offense around him, right? You hope you get Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatterbo back. Let's stick with the skill position players first. We see some really good moments from Theo Johnson. We've seen some not so good moments from Theo Johnson, like the drop on Monday night against the Patriots. What do you think about this group of skill position players around Dart? And what do you think the Giants should look to add to that group in the offseason to try to make it more complete?
All right, so let's just take a guy like Wandale, okay? There's a place for Wandale. And here's the thing. Most players, John, they either give your team energy or they take energy away. We know the difference. Wandale, I feel like, is a guy that gives. Like, he's just an upbeat, outgoing kid. He loves to play. He plays bigger than his size. I think there's a place for Wandale. Theo he's got to catch the ball better. He just does. He's got too many drops. And a lot of it, tight ends are going to get contested catches. How to use your body, how to catch the ball away from your body better. He's got to show me that he's a better catcher. He runs well. I think he runs decent routes. He's got size where you could be covered and still be open. Like he could be like Hunter Henry. Like, I think, I don't know if he could be as good a blocker as Hunter was early in his career, but that'd be a pretty good comp. You'd be okay if he could become Hunter Henry, like a very dependable guy that could have a long career. He's got to catch the ball better. Slayton has had a little renaissance here. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see a more competitive person with the ball in the air down the field than sometimes he is. I don't know that he runs quite like he did when he first came onto the scene. I don't think he runs I don't think he's as explosive as he used to, but there might be a place for him. I haven't seen anything outside of one game from Jalen. I don't know if there's a future for Jalen here, but Malik is, you're going to put a lot of stock in that right now. And Ballinger's got a role. I think everybody's got three tight ends on the roster that they're playing the way that teams are running the ball and protecting the quarterback. So there's a place where you need three tight ends.
And then in terms of Robinson, why do you think he's taken the jump this year, Baldy? Heading into that week 13. He was top 10 in the NFL in receiving yards. He's taken to playing outside more with the Giants going to more 12 personnel. He's been on the perimeter a lot more. Why do you think he's taken the jump he has heading
Well,
into
I
his
think
contract year?
the injury to Malik, took a lot of that attention away, that the balls he was getting. The fact that he could play inside or outside, I think helped, because now you're not really slotted into certain routes and route combinations that you can win outside on comebacks and quick slants. And then he's been very dependable. He's caught the ball well. He's been good after the catch. I think he's won everybody, whether it's Russell or Jameis or Jackson. I think he's won everybody's confidence in what he can do.
And then for once, Baldy, we're not talking about the offensive line as a weakness. In fact, we're talking about it as a strength. This group's done a great job. They've leaned on teams in the second half. Even when they haven't run it well in the first half, they've run it well in the second half. And then the pass protection, especially from the two tackles out there, bookending a veteran group inside. I mean, I think this is as well as I think either of us in our even most optimistic hopes could have thought this group would have played together this year.
I agree. And the fact that they've been out there the majority of the time. There's been a few guys in and out, and obviously, Andrew didn't start the first two games, but once he's, and the thing I like about both Jermaine and Andrew right now is they play every snap. I don't know if Jermaine's missed a snap this year. Like I know he started every game, but I think he's played every game.
I think he missed one game with the pec. That was it. He missed one game with the pec when Bo stepped in. I think it was week 8 or 9.
Okay. All right. So, all right. But for the most part, they've been very healthy. They get through the games just fine. The protection against elite guys, Hutch, Parsons, for the most part, the guys that they have seen, they've battled those guys really well. And so when you can protect the edges as well as they have protected the edges by and large, it allows you to get 5 guys out quite a bit. If you just want to flood 3-man zone over here, 2-man, over here, a 3-by-2 set, you can get guys out, and you don't have to keep the extra tight end, keep the back end, do some of the things that limit some of the things you can do in the passing game.
Yeah, and look, I don't think we're at the point where we're talking about like a Pro Bowl or anything like that. But John Michael Schmitz has certainly played a lot better this year than he played in his first 2 years, I think, at least.
Yeah, I do too. Look, I mean, just, they've got some big guys inside for the Patriots. They've got some huge guys inside for Detroit. And I thought the way that they controlled the line of scrimmage, because I always think you're only going to be as strong as your center. If the center is a weak link, the chain link is going to break. And I don't see that. I see them being pretty firm and flat in the middle. Van Roten has been unbelievable, honestly, considering his age and the path to be where he's at. Like, he's been very steady. And, John is a fighter in there. So I feel like, ideally your pocket, you want it to be flat in the middle, and you want it to be wide on the outside so that the quarterback can sit there like the way Jameis did to be able to make the throws that he made.
Yeah, we haven't spoken since the Giants changed coaches, Baldy. What do you think of the job Kafka's done, the decision to move on from Brian Dable, and even what do you think next? Well, what's next in terms of what's going to happen to the head coach position? What should be the priority for the Giants moving forward?
Well, I mean, look, Mike has been the team has been very competitive. He threw a lot of things out of the bag with Jameis. Whether it's a throwback to Jameis. I mean, we saw some of those things to create big plays, which they execute. It's one thing to call them, another thing to execute them. So obviously they're practicing and working on them. So I felt like the operation has been smooth, not burning timeouts. Guys seem to know what they're doing. They're in the right places. I feel like they're very organized. And it's been an organized, you've had 2 different quarterbacks in there. I feel like it's been an organized process offensively. Defensively, obviously, they fired the coach. They've been disappointing, period. And I don't know what this is. Like, I was a big fan of Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland coming, but neither one of them have played great this year. I saw, Kyle Williams run right by Paulson Adebo last night. Like that, he was specialized in man coverage in New Orleans. He was good. And I just don't feel like, maybe it's the change, maybe it's the culture, I don't know, but I don't feel like we've seen the best of those players.
If you want to know how to manage 2 minutes of crunch time football, I'm your man. But if you're wondering about a long-term financial plan, you should talk to Citizens. Hey, I can also talk lawn care.
I'd like to learn about a mowing routine.
Yes, I knew I could help. Make sense of your money with Citizens.
Yeah, Baldy, and this is what it comes down to for me. We haven't spoken since the Giants changed defensive coordinators either. You mentioned Shane Bowen out, Charlie Bowen in. And I think we saw them do a little bit of a different different stuff on certain downs and distances against the Patriots. They tried a lot of double mug stuff. They would drop out of it into the zone defenses. They did send a couple of corners and safeties. They got a couple unblocked pressures in the game. But Tiki Barber and I were talking on the postgame show. You can do all that funny stuff and try to confuse teams and do all that stuff. If eventually your guys can't cover one-on-one on the back end and your guys can't win one-on-one on the front and you can't get after the quarterback consistently, I don't care what scheme you're running, this thing's not going to work.
No, you're true. I mean, you have to be able to do those things. But even like last night, little things bothered me, John. Like they ran 2 quarterback sneaks on 3rd and 1. And they gained 2 yards and 3 yards. Like there was no, I mean, I could have gotten a quarterback sneak. Like they didn't take it away. You know, it's that was like, you know, I mean, make that yard a lot harder to earn. And you're right. I mean, if you can't cover on the back in this league, then you got to find new cover guys because you're going to see elite athletes out there every single week that you have to defend. You got to play the ball in the air better than they played the ball in the air. But it was disappointing. Like that's Vidarian Lowe at left tackle last night. I'm sorry, he's not a frontline guy, John, but he didn't give up a pressure last night. Maybe Abdul got one on him, but like for the most part, they didn't really beat him, you know? And I know the ball's out quick and all that, but still, like you want to get to the quarterback. And if they played in a mud puddle last night, Drake May wouldn't have gotten dirty.
Giants Huddle Podcast is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. From game day celebrations to your everyday financial needs, Big Blue fans can get the most out of every moment with Citizens. Learn more at citizensbank.com/Giants. And how about Dexter Lawrence's year? He's been, I'd say, impactful in terms of pushing the pocket in the pass game. Maybe not as impactful as he was in the past with the run. He's been dealing with the elbow injury now. Not the production we've seen from him in the past, Baldy. What do you think of Dexter's season?
I mean, I've been disappointed. I mean, I don't know how you could look at it any other way. Like he hasn't, like Garrett Bradbury should not be able to block him. I'm sorry, John. He shouldn't. Like Garrett Bradbury's not in Minnesota because he's not a big guy. He's not physical. He can run. He can, you know, wheel block on you, that kind of thing. He's but he's not a physical player. Like Dexter should be throwing him, tossing him. And I just haven't seen enough. I've seen him push the pocket. I know the ball gets out. I've seen him there at the end of some plays, but not enough. I haven't seen enough. I don't know what it is right now. Like his stance is so wide, he can't really move well enough in the run game. He's getting hook blocked. He's a better player than what he's shown this year. He's a better player.
Now, Brian Burns, on the other hand, has been very productive, Brian, and Baldy. He's been all over the field, run game, pass game. Even I remember a play early in the year, he got caught inside on a quarterback read option outside. And even though he messed up at the start of the play, he's sprinting his way down the field to try to catch up to knock the guy out of bounds. It's been frustrating for him because I know he's been really playing a complete game most weeks. Do you think this is the best year of his career? And do you think he should be a Pro Bowl All-Pro candidate?
Oh, yeah. No, not just because 13 sacks. He plays the game the right way. He plays with max effort. He has an ability to escape. He knows where the ball is going and has a plan to get there. He almost had a sack the other night. I mean, he's got his hands around Drake May. He slipped off him, but he was there behind the line of scrimmage. He's been a great player. He's been the Giants' best player. He's been the most consistent player. He's made the biggest impact, offensive and defensive, any player. It's encouraging because if he had somebody opposite him right now that could really bring it, I think he could even have better numbers. They might be able to move him around. Like, I don't think we ever saw Kayvon, Abdul, and Burnsy really impacting the thing together for any great time because of different things. But I feel like I don't know what's going to happen in the future here with Kayvon, but I felt like if he had a little bit more help with guys flushing, and because really you sack the quarterback as a group, you celebrate as a group. And Brian's got the majority of it, but I felt like if other guys were pulling their weight better, they would have a whole lot more sacks because of what Brian could do just by himself.
What do you think the ideal scheme is for this defense, Brian, with the guys they have on the roster? Do you want to see a high pressure pack where there's a lot of press man? Do you think playing more of a too high, like Vic Fangio style defense is best given the guys on the roster? If you were to design a defense from scratch with this group of players, how would you do it in an ideal situation?
Well, I don't think they're a 3-4 defense. Like, I don't think Burnsy and Abdul Carter, I don't think they're true outside linebackers. Burns can do it better than the other guys. But I feel like they should be a 4-man front. They should be playing a reduced front with 3 defensive linemen against teams that want to run the ball or first down runs. And then I feel like they should doing what a lot of other teams are doing right now, putting 7 up there at the line of scrimmage in every passing situation and trying to get them to figure out who's coming, who's not coming. If you can get them to max protect and you drop 4 out and you rush 4 and you can still drop 7 into coverage with them packing it in, like you're winning. You're winning in this league when you can do that. And I feel like that's the scheme that a lot of teams, the Bears did that to the Eagles, and the Eagles had no answer for it.
All right, Baldy, final question. The Giants will embark on a coaching search after the year. You have to, based on NFL rules. Mike Kafka will be in that mix. I think a lot of people in the building are rooting for him. He's a good guy. He's a good coach. But what do you think their priority should be? Is it finding the right offensive guy to be with Dart? Is it just finding a guy that's going to set the right, a quote-unquote culture setter, whatever that means, where you try to get things right in the building, and you do like a coordinator, a guy with former experience? What are some of the aspects you try to prioritize when it comes to the Giants figuring out who the next full-time head coach is going to be?
Well, I mean, honestly, like just watching Mike Vrabel last night lead that team, like I know he's an ex-coach that had success as a coach. They were lucky to get him. Like that's, if there's a clone to Mike Vrabel where he is not that everybody's played the game at his level and then becomes a coach, that those are rare, but a guy that sets the vision and holds each guy accountable, that's interactive with the players on and off the field the whole game. Like I want a guy, he doesn't have to call the plays. He doesn't have to call the offense. There's guys that can design offense. Ben Johnson was a great coordinator. Detroit had a lot of success. There's guys that can design offense and design defense. I want my coach to be a CEO that manages the whole thing. When a player screws up, like they got to know it right now, and you got to fix it right now. Like I want a guy that Coughlin obviously was like that. Parcells was like that. I mean, those are the successful coaches of the Giants. That's what they did. They acted like that, and they didn't just let things go on. And so, and Vrabel is like that. He holds those guys accountable when they screw up. I've seen him bench a guy to start a game because he screwed up during the week. Like you don't hold the grudge on him. You just do what you have to do in front of the whole team.
All right, Boldy, I'm going to ask you this because we got this is the home stretch, about 5 games left for a lot of these teams. Giants only have 4 left. Who are your favorites coming out of each conference right now? Because this is as wide open an NFL season as I've seen in quite a while.
Well, I mean, Chicago right now is playing great football. The way that they take the ball away and the way that they run the ball and the way that the quarterback is protecting it, they're a very competitive team. The Patriots, are they a great team? I don't think so, but I haven't seen anybody really. I saw them in Tampa. They took Tampa apart. I saw them up at Buffalo. We'll see them against Buffalo in a few weeks, but Tampa is on that run right now. They're going to be hard to beat. I thought the Rams were invincible until they went to Carolina and got beat this weekend. But I don't think anybody wants to see the Cowboys right now. I don't think they want to see it. Like they've fixed a lot of things that weren't good, and offensively, nobody can cover George Pickens in this league right now. And CD is if he catches the ball, like they're pretty unstoppable right now. The offense line is young and playing really well. Clayton Adams came in from Arizona, has done a good job with that line.
Do you think the Eagles hold on in the NFC East?
I think they hold on, but I don't think they're going to come out of this tailspin they're in. I don't see it. Like they have too many flaws on offense right now, and they don't play. They stop being nasty. Like I haven't seen them just smack people around. Like Chicago pushed them all over the field. Like I don't feel good about that team right now.
Yeah, I don't know how you can. Baldy, you're the best. Thank you so much. We'll catch up with you next couple of weeks or right after the season's over as we wrap up the Giants season. Hopefully we get a couple wins. We'll talk to you.
Hopefully, John. Hopefully.
I appreciate it, Baldy.
Strong, man.
I know.
Keep Jaxson healthy. I want to see him finish strong and get some wins.
God willing. That's all the time we have for the Baldy Breakdown edition of the Giants Huddle Podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. For the Giants Podcast Studio, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. For Brian Baldinger, I'm John Schmeelk. We'll see you next time, everybody.